Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to analyze the data stream by the Stupendium. We'll be covering the lyrics of the song, the lore behind Cyberpunk 2077, and the eerie implications of a future controlled by megacorporations. I'll start by introducing you to the game's universe. Then we'll focus more on the meaning behind the lyrics, what you're probably here for. To end things off, we'll talk about the megacorporations of our time and what they're up to in our world. But first, I let the song introduce you to this beautiful dystopia.
Eventually all walls meet demolition, so Wall Street had to keep the tradition. Their financial systems resigned to ignition, and out of the ashes we have arisen. An empire is forged in the fire of ambition. In business there isn't the time for attrition. Invest to suppress that unjust competition, and each acquisition is new ammunition.
Cyberpunk 2077 is set in a future where the void left by the fall of the United States government favored the rise of megacorporations. In 1994, the USA fell victim to one of the greatest economic collapses in history. This is what the Stupendium is referring to when he says that Wall Street and their financial systems resigned to ignition. The value of the dollar plummeted and all banks failed, preventing the government from borrowing money in order to re-establish order. Millions of Americans lost their jobs, and those who relied on investments, stocks, pensions, or government subsidies became destitute overnight. Chaos ensued, and violence erupted. A few years later, the president and the vice president were assassinated, and the military took over, declaring martial law and suspending the constitution. The USA lost its status as the world's first superpower, while thousands of Americans starved. Corporations filled the void left by the federal government, which, unable to sustain them, sold and privatized many of its institutions. Out of the ashes, we, the corporations, have arisen. Militech became the country's main military contractor, while Arasaka, a Japanese company, swept into the American market and bought most of the failing businesses of the West Coast. This gained Saburo Arasaka a reputation as a man of the people, someone who stood up for the American populace by providing them jobs and services when the government failed them. And just like that, an empire was born out of the fire of ambition. However, Arasaka didn't act out of goodwill. They exploited the crumbling economy to increase their potential. They took advantage of their already strong power base in Japan to run the struggling American competition out of business. Then they bought and ingested them for a token price. They established a monopoly while the collapsing government was unable to enforce antitrust laws. Each new acquisition was ammunition for the upcoming conflicts.
When governments crumble and fall to the floor, that was paved with the graves of a corporate war. A fundament funded in blood to shore, a foundation for founding our covenant, born of a need for control of societal entropy. Enterprise at the price of your indemnity. Chart out the course, and of course you were meant to be bent to the will of a corporate entity. Arasaka Security. You're in safe hands.
In the early 2010s, California seceded and many of the US states followed suit. The new free states, without federal taxes, relied more and more on corporations to keep their countries afloat. In the 2020s, an all-out worldwide conflict erupted between Militech and Arasaka, which had established its main branch in Night City, the setting of Cyberpunk 2077. This became known as the Fourth Corporate War. The conflict proved nearly fatal for the fragile world economy and the governments of Japan and the USA. It was in this time that Arasaka headquarters were bombed by none other than Johnny Silverhand. If you played the game, you'll know. Eventually, Militech won and banned Arasaka from operating in the USA, while also cementing its power over the government. This is what the Stupendium refers to when he says that the collapse of governments was paved the graves of a corporate war. In the following years, a Militech ex-executive took the presidency and rebranded the USA as the new United States, now having control of just the East Coast. By this time, millions had died during the collapse and the following conflicts, and America had become one of the poorest developed countries in the world. In the period between 2030 and 2070, the economy slowly recovered thanks to corporate investments. However, this did little to improve the lives of working people. In 2079, the new United States, controlled by Militech, declared war on the Free States. Arasaka used this opportunity to finance the Free States and regain sway over the American continent. The Free States managed to resist, and in 2070, a peace treaty was signed. Arasaka would be allowed to return to business in the USA, while the Free States would retain their independence in exchange for greater collaboration with the federal government. Meanwhile, Night City became an independent state of its own, a playground for corporations and the headquarters for Arasaka once more. This is where Cyberpunk2077's story begins. Now that we have all the basics covered, I'll try to stick a little more to the lyrics, while still offering some insight here and there. A fundament funded in blood is, of course, another reference to the wars that allowed corporations to cement control over the country. This became the foundation for their covenant. The term covenant is quite interesting. It is used in business to define a legal contract, but it also has a quasi-religious connotation, the biblical Old and New Covenant. This pact was born out of a need to control societal entropy. Entropy is a scientific concept which defines how random and chaotic a system is. Put in simple terms, the higher the entropy, the more a system is well organized and stable, but also less able to produce energy. The laws of thermodynamics tell us that entropy cannot be lowered but only increased, which means that our universe will eventually stop being chaotic and reach a stable state, the heat death of the universe, but this is well beyond the scope of this video. In this case, it simply means that corporations are looking to control society, to harness its chaotic potential while stabilizing it, increase its entropy. Enterprise at the price of your indemnity. Indemnity is a legal protection against the loss or other financial burdens. In the year 2077, indemnity is no more. Businesses can act without any regards for laws or moral values. You were always meant to be bent to our will, a paw in our hands. Corporations wish to gaslight you into thinking that there is no other option, no alternative to their rule, no alternative to exploitative capitalism, an idea that is very much alive even today. You're in safe hands. This, of course, goes directly in contrast to everything that has just been said. Arasaka security is not there to protect you, but to enslave you.
The corridors of power clearly need rewiring. Arasaka saw the spark and then embarked upon the path that turned that spark to lightning. There's no autonomous megalopolis or populace or prosperous you could reside in. And every citizen that's living in the city is a digit on the charts we're climbing. Political systems are too inefficient. They split like the atom and burned in the fission. Now every department and every decision defer to the herds of our corporate division. If you don't...
We're gonna talk about the chorus at a more appropriate time. For now, let's focus on the last lyrics. From their ivory towers, Arasaka's executives saw the world crumbling around them and decided that the time was ripe for a change in governance. They saw the spark, the collapse, the worst, and they turned it into lightning, an opportunity to subvert the status quo in their favor, to wrestle power away from governments and into their hands. Night City became the biggest metropolis of the new America, and, as we said, it recently gained independence as a city-state thanks to Arasaka, which now has a great deal of influence over it. Therefore, everyone living in it is nothing but a digit in the stock charts for them, a customer, a consumer, but mostly a subject. For this very reason, political systems are deemed obsolete and inefficient. Consumers need not voice their opinions. Politics in Night City is just a question of how to best exploit the population. Now, every decision is taken by our corporate divisions, much simpler and cost-effective. It is to be noted that the perceived slowness and inefficiency of democratic systems, be it liberal democracy or worker democracy, is often used in our world to justify the rise of autocracies. Always distrust those who oppose power to the people. Also, brief insight into one line: they split like the atom and burned in the fission. This might be a reference to the use of nuclear weapons during the Fourth Corporate War, but also to the song "The House Always Wins." In the world of Fallout, Mr. House deems the failure to prevent nuclear apocalypse an irredeemable fault of democracy. But you'll have to watch my video on the topic to know more. Now, going forward.
If you don't remember the ballot you cast, it's printed on every receipt you were passed. Each time you selected our products and services, we were elected in each of your purchases. What's left to do when you've got the monopoly? Turn the consumer into the commodity. It isn't hard, we have hardware neurology. Honestly, do read the company policy. Take information and trade it for wealth. You pay it in each augmentation we sell. It's easy to cut out the middleman when he's cut out most of himself. Arasaka Finance. Investing in your future.
The ballot you cast is printed on every receipt you were passed. It's often said that consumers vote with their wallets. In this case, such concept is interpreted in a more literal sense. In Night City, corporations often offer multiple services to try and force their customers into their ecosystems, but more on this later. Rival businesses fight to expand their bubbles at the expense of competitors. Therefore, when you choose to buy a corporation's products or services, you become part of their user base, the source of their power. You are effectively voting for them. Your money will make them stronger and more able to exert control over their city. As we mentioned, companies in the world of Cyberpunk have their fingers in many pies. Arasaka, for example, deals in corporate security, finance, transport, and manufacturing. To protect their interests, they have their own law firm, a shipping company, a spy agency. They also research and develop weapons, and they field the biggest army and navy on the planet. This might seem incredible to us, but it is nothing new. In fact, even today, seemingly unknown conglomerates like Alphabet exert their influence over many sectors and even governments. Big companies are constantly trying to diversify, to buy out competitors, and to create monopolies. In Cyberpunk, megacorporations care little for what you actually buy from them. They mostly want you as part of their family. At this point, we have to ask ourselves, who is the consumer and who is the commodity? Once part of the ecosystems, companies are able to profile you, to steal your data and sell it to advertisers or other companies. All these while making it nearly impossible to get out. You probably work for them or one of their subsidiaries. Your money is held in an Arasaka bank account. You probably drive an Arasaka-made car to get home to your Arasaka-provided apartment, protected by Arasaka private security. This is their real business, now even simpler thanks to hardware neurology. Your mind is directly connected to the net, to the company, as we'll see later. Honestly, do read the company policy. This is a clear reference to the fine print. And again, go watch my video on the song if you still haven't. Another important detail of Cyberpunk is cyberware. Citizens often implant electronic parts to improve their bodies. Bionic eyes, artificial muscles or limbs, hardened skin, and much more. All these controlled by a central operating system in a chip inside your head. Corporations like Militech and Arasaka offer their own line of cyberware. Not only you pay for these augmentations, but in doing so, you also sell your digital identity. In cutting your body, you've actually cut yourself out of the equation. Now they can access the data inside your head without even asking. They know what you think, and they can see through your eyes. Arasaka Finance is quite literally investing in your future. The chorus gives a few examples of what we just said. Corporations are everywhere. They're in your electronic devices, in your body, and even in your dreams. They are the content you watch and the cyberware you install. They distract you with a world of new products to prevent you from realizing that you are the real product. A brain dance is a technology that allows you to record and playback someone's experiences, their memories, their dreams, and even their deaths. They allow you to feel physical sensations, emotions, and thoughts. Brain dances are often sold as a form of entertainment. Violent and gruesome ones in particular are big on the black market. Poorer classes often use them like drugs to escape their lives of misery and experience the luxuries of life. They are a great tool to control the masses and prevent them from organizing. Just like the CIA had a role in the US crack epidemic, here in the world of cyberpunk, corporations are more than happy to spread brain dances on the black market. The last line in particular is quite powerful. We know what you own and we own what you know. We know all about you. Everything you know, your thoughts, your dreams are a commodity to be sold and traded. Nothing is truly yours.
Say on the net we composite to maps that go straight from your head to your pocket. Complain if you want, you're still making deposits of data. Each day you log on is a profit. Society currently lists electronics, so isn't conducting resistance ironic? We've plenty of skeletons locked in our closets, but yours are assembled from old stock hydraulics.
So lucky we know just the pieces you need.
All plucked from your social media feeds, the places you go and the posts that you read, all snatched for a new algorithm to feed. Now holding our gold isn't par for the brand. Our silver is sat in the palm of your hand. Quit whining and sign on the line in the sand. The supply does not get to make the demands. Arasaka Manufacturing, building a better tomorrow.
This might be subject to different interpretations. I'll try to do my best. We put together everything you say on the net. We extrapolate what you want and we serve it right back to you on the phone in your pocket. We are creating a direct link, a map, between what you have in your head and what you get on your phone. User profiling is already a thing, but it is now taken to the next level. Complain if you want, but please do it online. Don't take it to the streets, just keep on posting. After all, you're making as money with each day you spend on the net, no matter what you do. Isn't it ironic? You're conducting resistance in a world centered around electronics. This is a pun, both on the futility of opposition and the concept of electric resistance, a force which opposes the flow of electric currents. We've got plenty of skeletons locked in our closet. Corporations need to protect their data from hostile companies. Therefore, they tend to operate in the shadows, often going at great lengths to hide their most valuable business secrets. Meanwhile, the skeletons, or better exoskeletons, that we sell you are assembled from second-hand hydraulics. So lucky we know just the pieces you need. Has it ever occurred to you that sometimes you start seeing ads on things you subconsciously want to buy? This, of course, if you browse while logged in. Nowadays, algorithms are already quite good at predicting what you might want, just from your online presence. Imagine what were to happen if companies knew so much more than what they already do. Holding our gold isn't par for the brand. Our silver is set in the palm of your hand. Again, quite a few interpretations. Gold is often used to store value as an alternative to cash, mainly by banks or governments, or in this case, corporations. Silver instead is commonly employed in consumer electronics due to its excellent electrical conductivity. Also, silver reserves are sometimes used in place of gold reserves. Now, since Arasaka mostly deals in electronics, it would seem more appropriate for them to have silver reserves. Their silver, however, is not stored in a hidden vault. It's everywhere. It's in the palm of your hand. Your phone, your augmentations, and the circuits in your hand are all they need. Also notice this is a reference to Johnny Silverhand, one of the main characters of the game, around whom the story revolves. Going on, we get another two significant lines. A line in the sand is an idiom representing a boundary, a point of no return which should never be crossed. In this case, with a play on words, you are invited to sign on it. Sign the contract and sell your soul to corporate devils. The supply does not get to make the demands. Powerful line. The laws of supply and demand are used in economics to determine prices in a market. In this case, since people are considered goods, they do not get to decide what is an appropriate price for themselves. The laws of the market shall decide for them. This might also be interpreted as a critique of market salaries. Can capitalism really be relied upon to decide how much a person should be compensated? Should the market get to decide their societal value?
Age, qualifications, race, bank,
Career aspirations.
political leaning,
Daily commute.
marital status,
Favorite fruit.
family, medical history, hobbies, future,
Brand affinity.
fashion, style,
Your occupation.
gender identity,
Orientation.
lifestyle choices,
Marketing contact. Choose receive.
likes,
Employers.
funds, social bonds,
Exploitable trends.
taste, culture,
Mode of choice.
facial structure,
Your
gets
inside your head. You can't escape the end.
Light in your screen, hear the lead in your veins, and you wake from your dreams. You can sell them again. In the light we distract, with the shiny and new. So you're blind to the facts that the product is you. So let your brain and sun replay the dream. Come try the stream. 'Cause we see where you are, and we see where you go. 'Cause we know what you own, and we own what you know.
This, of course, is a list of all the data corporations might want to know. From your political affinity to your favorite fruit, every bit of information can be traded and sold. I want to stress that most of these things are already being collected. Let's take Facebook as an example. They probably know your name, your surname, your nationality, your age, your gender, and maybe even your occupation just from your profile. From the groups you're part of, they can guess your interests, your political leaning, and probably the city you're from. From your friends list, they can get, well, your friends, your family, and maybe your coworkers. And it's not over yet. Facebook is owned by Meta, and Meta owns Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus, and many more. If the European Union didn't act so strongly on the matter of privacy in the latest years, all these could have been so much worse. Never take your privacy for granted.
Guiding the hand of the market, if it's holding a check or a gun. The fingers go deep in your pockets, and you can live under the thumb. You seem so surprised. What did you expect? We're thinking outside of that box that you checked. The terms were presented in full to inspect. You scroll to the end just to get to accept. Arasaka would like to know your location.
Arasaka would like to know your location.
Arasaka would like to know your location.
Arasaka would like to know your location. 'Cause 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 'c
invisible hand of the market is a concept described by Adam Smith, often defined as the father of capitalism. It's a metaphor for the forces that act as regulators in free markets, at least in theory. It's often used by libertarians to promote laissez-faire and a hands-off approach to economics. In this case, it's implied that the free market is not so free, since companies are able to guide its hand to redefine the rules in their favor. It matters little if the hand is offering you an economic incentive or forcing you to act under its rules. Either way, you're the one who's being exploited. The old carrot and stick. If incentive doesn't work, coercion will. You're free to live your life only as long as you follow the rules and behave, as long as you live under the thumb. You seem so surprised. Were you expecting us to follow the rules? Well, we make the rules, we make the terms, and your job is just to accept them. Now we're pushing the boundaries of our contract. We're thinking outside the box you checked. How could you know, since you didn't even read the terms? Fact is, nobody really reads privacy policies. And that is not the fault of the customer. How could you be expected to read a document in legalese and understand if something's off? That's a job for lawyers and the regulators, not for your average Joe. And companies know and take advantage of that. Arasaka would like to know your location. If you're like me and keep geolocalization turned off, this is what pops up every time you open Google Maps. Maps does have reason to ask, but I suggest you take a look at all the unwanted privileges the app on your phone have. Before ending this video, I'd like to draw some parallels between the dystopian world of Cyberpunk and ours. Corporations in the year 2023 are not as cartoonishly evil as the ones of 2077, but make no mistake, appearances are often misleading. Let's take Amazon, for example. They are one of the biggest conglomerates in the US. Sure, they primarily work on e-commerce, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. They also own Whole Foods and a great many businesses in the tech industry. But did you know that Amazon's founder, Jeff Bezos, bought the Washington Post, for example? Amazon also owns Twitch, Audible, Prime Video, of course, and they even have their own publishing company to go along with Kindle. In fact, most news outlets in the US and all social media platforms are owned by billionaires who employ their influence to condition popular culture. This, along with lobbying, is a great way to convert money into actual power. Power to alter politics and shift blame from their actions to those of people who disagree with you. Maybe your neighbors, maybe your friends. Let's take climate change, for example. Your girlfriend driving around in her truck instead of taking the bus, your boyfriend taking a 1-hour-long shower aren't really the problem. The problem are companies systematically bribing governments to keep polluting and greenwashing their products with fake recyclable plastics. The problem are companies consistently invading your privacy and selling your data. The problem are billionaires pushing for tax cuts for the rich and trickle-down economics while millions starve. We could go on and on talking, for example, about Apple's ecosystem and their hatred for EU lawmakers and their damned USB-C. But I'd say this is enough for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and maybe post a comment down below if you agree or disagree with some of my points. As always, a big thanks to the Stupendium for the awesome song. See you in the next video, e alla prossima!